Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Well, folks, I am back. My last leg of finishing up this cylinder head job. I think I have everything I need. Exhaust manifold studs and stuff like that. So let me get cracking so I can get this done. When we left off, I was having issues with exhaust manifold studs being damaged. It turns out that these things are M8 by 1.25 by 35 millimeter. And they are not carried by most local auto parts stores. You can get them from Volvo for 10 bucks a piece. I'll put the part number in the comment section. But usually I have a few of these in my little hardware boxes when I travel. And I have some brand new ones in Las Vegas, but I did not have any with me. I needed a few things from the junkyard, so I went and got some from the junkyard. I need, I think, 3 of them. I have 4 or 5 of them in there. Hopefully I'll get 3 of them out of that 4 and 5 and get this set up to get this exhaust manifold gaskets on there and drop this head in. That's the actual good head over there. The front of it was painted black, and I need to put this thermostat housing on there and drop this thing in place. Thinking about putting the thermostat housing on there with it off, but it may be better to put that on before I put the on. And you're supposed to double that gasket, so I have 2 of them. 4 out of 5 of the used replacements worked out for me, so I pulled this one out. That was the worst one I had in there. I should be good to go. I'm gonna put the exhaust manifold gaskets on there, put the dental floss on there, and then I'm gonna put this thermostat housing on there. I did not get my order placed properly with IPD, so I had to get these local, these exhaust manifold gaskets. These seem thicker and harder, although there looks like 3 or 4 different layers of metal. The ones that come, that I'm accustomed to from IPD and that, they're kind of padded, so they, I think, would compress better and sealing off the exhaust manifold, but this is what I could get locally, so this is what I'm going with. In general, I like Fel-Pro products. These are the only ones I decided to question. Now, I haven't put in the O-rings for the spark plug wells yet, but the Volvo ones seem to be being made a little too small. Hopefully these will fall in the spark plug wells more properly. Ready to drop this cylinder head on this block. I got the gasket here in place. I got the exhaust cleaned off. I got what I could clean off the pistons. Let me wipe the inside of these pistons with an oil soaked rag just to lubricate the pistons so it'll grab compression the first time I try to start it. I have the exhaust manifold gaskets on. As you can see, I have the dental floss on there. That prevents them from falling off while you're putting the cylinder head in place. And that stuff will burn off first time that gets hot. I got the thermostat housing on, the intake manifold surface cleaned off, and I'm gonna set it in place and start to bolt that down. It's heavy, but it's not that heavy. It should go on pretty easy. It is in place. That hole should line up there, and the hole on the other side should line up for that 14. It should look matched there. You could tap this down with a dead blow hammer or draw it down with your head bolts, and that's what I'm going to do. Let me see if my head bolts fit. Had to get these locally, and I'm not a big Volvo person on head bolts, mainly because companies have been making head bolts for 100 years. I don't think that's a difficult thing to do. However, you do want them to fit. One time I bought some head bolts, they would not fit through the hole, and these do, so I'm good to go. I'm gonna oil the threads, oil the under the head bolt, snug all these down, and then hit the torque process. 15 foot-pounds, 44 foot-pounds, 130 degrees. Torque the yield bolts. Put oil on the rag, oil the last couple inches of the bolt, oil under the head of the bolt, and drop it in the hole. Let me drop the rest of them in. Strange thing, my socket fit down the first hole, wouldn't fit down the second hole. So I'm gonna resort to my 14, which seems pretty strong, and I'm gonna put this adapter on there, the impact adapter, and see if that works, because I can't find that other 14 I got. That's a Craftsman from Lowe's. Strange. Torqued all my bolts down with my angle torque gauge. I'm not a hair splitter. What I mean by that is, if it says 130 degrees and I go to 132, I'm not trying to back that up 2 degrees. I try to do it right, get it close as I can, and move on. Now I'm going to clean up top of the cylinder head and wipe it down with acetone so I can get it ready for the anaerobic sealant. I'm going to do the same with the cam cover, make sure that's ready for the anaerobic sealant. Then I'm going to put the lifters in. I'm going to put the cams in. I didn't see my assembly lube, so I'm going to lubricate the journals and everything with full synthetic oil. Then I'm going to put the new cam seals on the cams, lay the cams in place, get this cam cover on. Those Velcro gaskets fit in there pretty good. They're a little on the small, tight size, but they fall down in there and hold really well. It's not a struggle, so I'm glad about that. Let me go ahead and get the cams ready and the cam cover. Got the cam cover all cleaned up. Any anaerobic sealant that was on there scraped off. Looked like some cleaning solution sat on some of this and kind of, man, I want to say it was trying to eat into the aluminum. I scraped that off and got it as smooth as I can. The anaerobic sealant will fill in any of these imperfections, like right there, in here. This is actually the cylinder head that came off a Panther when it burned the valve. And I'm going to take that cylinder head, recondition it, and use it for another car that needs a cylinder head. So I reuse these cylinder heads. They keep going. I replaced a few valves that was damaged. I lapped all the valves, put in new valve stem seals. So that's where I'm at. It is time for me to apply the anaerobic sealant and bolt this cam cover on. But it's also time for me to get lunch. So I'm going to run down the street, grab a sandwich, come back and put this cam cover on. I did find the 2 pieces that I dropped down on top of the subframe. One was the bolt from this serpentine belt bracket, and the other one was the cap that holds the rotor in place. So I got those parts. I'm gonna take a break, come back and bolt this in. We got spiders making webs on the hood, all kind of crazy stuff going on here. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure this head is clean again in case any oil got on it. Then I'm going to clean the top of the cylinder head and wipe it down with acetone. And then I'm going to apply the anaerobic sealant and bolt this thing down. I used this Volvo anaerobic sealant, and man, that stuff went on pretty thin. Thinner than I remembered it going on. Actually seemed wet. I got a little dab right there. I need to pick that up, see what that is. Look like a piece of lint. And smooth that back out. But other than that, it's on, and I'm ready to flip this thing over. Put it on. I'm going to put some oil in these journals and get this thing installed. I laid a golden egg. I actually trapped that under the thermostat housing. I finally dug it out. Now I got to get it on the side of this intake manifold, which is going to be a task. So I'm going to try to use pliers to move that thing back. And I do not have my hook needle nose pliers, so that's gonna be fun. Let me work on getting that on the manifold, as I already got the manifold tightened down. Kind of amazed I got it on that far. I'm gonna try to get that clamp on a little bit further, then I'll be done with that. Common mistake. The slot is on the top side, so you gotta put this in so the holes are on the top side. Get that to fall down in that hole properly and those slots properly before you put that screw in. There it is. Same thing for that sensor ring back there on the exhaust. The exhaust is the most common one that people mess up. Let me get this stuff together. Just finished my least favorite part. Exhaust manifold studs. Whoop whoop. Now I need to put the 2 screws in the back of that water pipe before I forget that. Torqued all the spark plugs in with my new door last spark plug socket. Now I need to hook up these fuel lines on the back, put this bolt in the front of this cylinder head, make sure this is timed. I lost the thermostat, so I need to find that and keep on trucking here. Here's the different head gaskets I got. This one looks like it's coated with the copper spray. That's the part number for it. This is the one I got that was not covered with the copper spray. So that's likely the difference between those 2 head gaskets. This one seemed to have black lines across it too. Time to find my timing belt and put that on. I'm pretty sure I had already aligned that timing mark, which it looks perfect. You have to make sure the crank is on the mark before you put the cams in and the cam cover, so you don't have any valve to piston contact. Timing marks are right on. Time for me to roll this engine around, make sure all that stuff stays, and that this engine rolls around, because I didn't have assembly lube. I used synthetic oil. Rolled it around a couple times. I'm about 1/4 of a tooth off, so I should be good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and put this serpentine belt stuff on, then put this exhaust heat shield on. Oh, that was the first one. I had this serpentine belt tensioner pinned for about 3 days now. Maybe 2 full days. I don't know, maybe 3. Anyway, when I put the belt on, took the pin out, it didn't tension. So I whacked it with the 19mm and then it tensioned the serpentine belt. I don't know if that means that's going bad or not. I would assume so. Looks like my cam seals are in at a good depth, so they should not leak. I'm going to go ahead and put the computers in, put some coolant in this thing, and fire this thing up. Uh-oh. I got a problem I have never had before. I'm pouring coolant in here, and it is running out of the back of the head. I wonder if this gasket moved off of this pipe over here. Let me get and look at that. See if that's my problem. That would suck. I didn't tie that on with the thread. I glued it on and I got a major leak. How much coolant is running out of this engine. So let me see where it's coming from. It's running all down here. It looks like I got some liquid there. Oh man, this sucks. I'm gonna pour a little bit more in there and see if that's where it's coming from. I don't see where that gasket is sticking out. But something's definitely leaking. I mean, I just got coolant just running out of this thing. Folks, I was topping off the coolant so I could start this thing. But I got this major water leak. I can't tell if it's this pipe or not. So I'm gonna pull this heat shield off and try to look at that gasket. But I don't see that gasket sticking out anywhere. I doubt that gasket fell off. Unless there's something bad wrong with this head. Coolant's running down that side and leaking out that side of the engine. I don't know where it's coming from, so let me pull this heat shield off, see if I can tell better. Well, that bolt's not tight. Maybe that's my leak. Maybe that'll stop my leak. Alright, so the gasket's there, but it doesn't look like the gasket is in the way of the screw going in, right? Let me try to put this screw in again. Looks like the bottom one's in right. So hopefully that was my leak. I don't think this water pipe's leaking. I put a bunch of paper towels under it. I think the water's coming out from that side of the engine somewhere. Either the head didn't bolt down right, which I couldn't imagine that happening. It's possible that something stopped that head from bolting down right. Or there's a coolant leak over there all of a sudden from maybe moving a coolant hose around, like a heater hose or something. So I'm going to pull the stuff out from that side of the engine, see if I can figure out where this leak is coming from. Well, looky there. For some reason, I borrowed the plug out of that head. Coolant plug. Spitting coolant out everywhere. Let me go pull that off of the other head, plug this hole in, wrap this up. Here it is, folks. Somewhere along the time, that plug was pulled from that head. And I had to take it out of that head. So let me bolt this in here and press on. Looky there, I got to use my 17 swivel off my new set. Got that hole plugged. We should be good to go. Let me hook this turbo stuff back up. Fill this thing up with coolant. I've probably lost a quart or two of coolant on the ground, so I need to get some more coolant. Well, folks, I am no longer dripping. The coolant reservoir is full. However, I got about an hour worth of work to do. Another hour worth of cleanup. I'm going to call it a night. I'm not going to benefit nothing from staying here another 2 hours finishing this, so I'll finish it up in the morning. See that weep hole leaking? That's a sign of a clogged PCV or bad turbo. The PCV wasn't clogged, so turbo might be going bad. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up, come back in the morning, finish this up, and then head to Dallas tomorrow afternoon. Man, you guys can't see it. There is a giant moth in that freaking light. Look at that thing. I don't want that thing flying on my neck. Let me get out of here. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.